Hello, and welcome to Talk.Therapy.Heal, a dynamic and engaging show that endeavors to shatter the many stigmas surrounding mental health and therapy. Talk.Therapy.Heal is a collective of licensed counselors, therapists, and life coaches unique in areas of specialization, expertise, and experience. Through the art of curated, genuine, compassionate conversation, we get to the deep things. We are so excited you chose to begin your healing journey with us. Tune in to Talk Therapy Heal.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another show of Talk Therapy Heal. As you all very well know, since we are in our third season of our shows, we bring some of the toughest topics to the table. We speak from counseling perspective, but also personal as well. So tonight's show may be a little heavy for some as we kind of work to peel back the onion layers, but we ask that you all stick with us through this show and hopefully it'll be a blessing to you. Tonight's topic, we are going to be speaking about relational wounds.
Mm. And relational wounds are the emotional and physiological damage resulting from harmful experiences in significant relationships, such as abuse, neglect, betrayal, or lack of support, which disrupts a person's sense of safety and trust.
Mm. So with this show, one of the things that we were speaking about before we got started, and even in our meetings and preparations, because we do meet about the topics, we've been seeing this a lot. Some of you all may hear us say relational wounds and have no clue what we're speaking about. But let's kind of try to break it down to kind of make it make sense. So, relational woundings, I'm going to actually throw it over to Miss Larisha because she broke it down amazingly before we started tonight's episode about what that is, what it can look like, and what we've seen as well.
Hmm. So relational wounding, it looks like I would say an attachment with mom or dad or a caregiver in the sense of maybe abuse happening, criticism happening, emotional distance happening. But the the key thing in this wounding is that it came from somewhere. It started somewhere. And so the start of it doesn't have to reflect the end of it.
Absolutely.
And we'll get to the end of it here.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm going to just briefly talk about the mother wound. The mother wound. So there's a mother wound, father wound, caregiver wound. And even though I'm speaking of the mother wound, these same kinds of things can show up in relationship with father and with your caregiver. But a mother wound um, looks like um, the mother rejecting the child in a way in which the child may not feel as emotionally supported from the mother, or the child may feel invisible
Mhm.
by the mother. Um, but it all goes back to um, mom had some wounding as well that carried over into her parenting of this child or of the person. So the wounding is generational at
Mm.
times, it's intergenerational at times, but it shows up in many different ways. And we're going to talk about those ways tonight. But because we're created for connection, if that connection is broken, if that connection is distorted, if that connection is impacted at the onset as a child, it's going to bring about um, wounding
Mhm.
and patterns that may not be helpful for us in our adult years.
Mm.
And so, really, what I'm referring to is attachment wounds, attachment wounding. And so, I'm gonna take y'all to the word real quick, and then I'm gonna bring y'all back to present day. So, the initial wounding, um, the first time we saw some wounding taking place was in the garden,
Mm.
Mhm.
right? Was in the garden. So think Adam and Eve in close relationship, right, with God, walking in the cool of the day, right? The serpent came, lied, beguiled, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so immediately there was a break.
Mhm.
Mhm.
There was a disconnection. There was an attachment wound that was placed right there in the garden. The separation, the disconnection from man, man separating from God because of the sin. Bring it back to present day. We got to take it back to the beginning, right? When we're talking about relational wounds.
Mhm.
So we got to look at the relationship with mom, the relationship with dad, the relationship with our caregivers. It could have been a grandparent, or an aunt or an uncle or a sibling, that may have raised us or nurtured us or did not nurture us in the way in which we needed. And so I guess bringing this full circle, and y'all help me on
Mhm.
this,
Mhm.
relational wounding starts somewhere.
Mhm.
But you can best believe that it probably goes back to your FOO,
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
family of origin.
Origin.
Mhm.
And hearing you say that, I had written this down that what's unhealed in one generation becomes the template for the next.
Mhm,
So we keep repeating the same template over and over and over again
mhm,
until someone heals,
Mhm.
mhm,
fully heals. But you're right, it starts at that root. That's the root of it. It
mhm,
starts there, but it started long ago. So if
mhm,
you think about it, relational wounds, we've been repeating this cycle, this pattern, or this template, if you will,
mhm,
for years.
Mhm.
Like it didn't just start yet. It's a parent-child thing, but then we're going to your parents, their parent-child relationship,
right.
and then their parent-child relationship. So it goes back so far.
Mhm.
Is it possible?
In utero, yes.
Well, yes, in utero, but it's definitely impossible. It's possible in utero, and when we say in utero, we're saying it when you are you've conceived, you're carrying your baby.
Mhm,
That trauma, that template is being passed down
mhm,
there. It
Mhm.
starts
right.
there. But I think what I wanted to ask
Mhm,
is it possible, and I'm pretty sure it is because I know we've done it, we've all done it, to heal? How do, because we're saying it's generational, it's
Mhm.
a template. And when we see that there's a template, right?
Mhm.
Most people don't know that they can create a new template. So they're carrying this very template and saying, okay, here's what I've learned, do this.
Mhm.
mhm,
How do we change the template? And I hope I'm not getting too quick, too far
Mhm.
ahead right now in getting to that. How do we change that template?
Well, if that template was an original design,
Mhm.
we are often familiar with the term design flaw. So you go back to that original design, find out what the flaw is, then you have to start healing and building from there.
mhm,
See, back in the 1970s, Ford had a car called the Pinto
Mhm.
that had a very bad design flaw.
Oh, yes, it did.
oh, got it.
And it had a lot of accidents were caused, and there was a lot of explosions and fires and things of that nature. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe at that particular time they had a one particular piece that they could have used to put in that space between the back seat and the gas tank that would have prevented that from happening. So you go back to the original design and say, where's the flaw at? Then you have to replace it with something else that makes it better, bigger, stronger, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So when we are talking about relational wounds, let's talk about why we're wounded in the first place.
Mhm.
We are expecting something from someone, a mother, a father, a caregiver, whatever, that is not supposed to fail us. And then when that fails, that leaves a cut, a scar, a feeling that hurts us. And so now what we are forced to do is sometimes we say we can't trust that person. We have to move to something else. And then when that thing fails us, now we've got scar tissue, and it just keeps going until we get to a point where you said, well, we go back to the original design, say, where did this all happen at? Tie it all together, and then let that healing process begin. And I think, and I want to come from a relational standpoint, husband and wives. There's a lot of individuals that are married, and they're starting to see that the issues within their marriage goes way back to their childhood from these relational wounds. But you got too many men trying to heal their wives and wives trying to heal their husbands, and they have to heal themselves.
Ooh, get on
Yeah,
our
they
show later.
yeah. Is that my bad.
Get
No,
on our
that
show.
is
Ooh,
good.
But
all
that's
right.
good
No.
though. That's good
Mhm.
though.
Because sometimes you may think you know your spouse,
Ooh.
but you may not know everything about them. So your thing is not to heal them, but to support them through their healing journey by giving them the things that they need and ensuring they get the help that they need.
Man.
Now, with that, I'll just go there, and I'm going to use me as an example. So I'll talk about a father-in-law, and
Mm.
I believe I had a father-in-law. One, because my father was never there. So here I am as a young boy trying to figure out why is everybody else got a daddy and I ain't got one, so that just did a scar with me. So now I'm emotionally connected to my mom. So if my mom ain't around, guess who's acting the nut? Me, because I'm already feeling that I'm deficient in one area. Now I'm feeling deficient in another area. So I grow up into that. And then my mom ended up getting married, and now my stepfather is there. Now the scarring really begins because I'm expecting, well, what is this person really going to be like? That ain't my real daddy, this, that, and other. And here it is, ex special forces, tough guy, this, that, and the other. And here I am, high school, not even 100 pounds yet. So that's where everything starts to change. You ain't never going to be anything. You're too small. You're not big enough to run track. You're not big enough to play basketball. So what I believe he perceived was tough love was really scarring me even the more. So now as I go forth in life, I am overcompensating for every single thing I do because I have to prove somebody wrong. And I was telling myself at that time that it was me, but it was him. So when I came into the military, oh, this is what you have to do in order to be 270, 290 above in PT. I busted my butt to do that to prove him wrong. Had nothing to do with me. And then now I have my own children, and and she will tell you, I'm sitting there saying, I'm not a good father because one, I was gone a lot. I believe I handled a lot of things wrong, but I had to operate in the area of my capacity, and my capacity can only exceed what's been poured into me.
Boy, this a preach.
Yeah.
It's heavy in here once again. Y'all help
Mhm.
sit in this with us.
'Cause
My God,
what?
So
today.
the wound followed you to adulthood.
Mhm.
Ooh.
And the only thing I could do to help that was to realize that number one, we say this all the time, but we take a little bit for granted. We say, well, I did the best I could with what I had. Well, I tried to give my kids everything that I didn't have.
Exactly.
And sometimes I did overcompensate. But what I did also do is I did not allow what was done to me in some cases for me to do that to my children. So my oldest son, he played sports. We followed him and did everything. And I thought at one point, yeah, he's going to really go somewhere and do this, that, and other. My second oldest son, I'm like 3, 4, 5 years old. That boy was fast. I'm like, I wanted to run track just like me, but he had a medical condition that prevented him from doing that. I could not force that up on him. I could not live vicariously through him. I had to let that go and allow him to be him.
Yeah.
Same thing with the rest of my children, even my oldest daughter. So I had to realize within myself what my self-worth was. I have to realize that my self-worth is not their self-worth. I have to realize that the relational difficulties I had, the only thing I had to do was show up. And once I started going to counseling and healing and going things of that nature, everything else just kind of became second nature. But I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing for a lot of men, a lot of women that may have been going through relational type issues and wounds is that fear and insecurity that keeps them from being able to heal.
I'm hearing attachment and identity
Yeah.
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
up and
All
through
all up
that.
and
That's
through
what
it.
it is.
All up and through there. So
Mhm.
early wounds impact how we see
Mhm.
ourselves and other people.
Absolutely.
I mean, just like you were saying with your stepfather, you thought you were trying to prove something to yourself, but all along you were trying to prove something
Absolutely.
to him, because there was a detachment from
Mhm.
your original.
Because
Uh,
what you thought
Mm.
you should have been receiving from somebody, you received the opposite.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so when you're, let's say you're a young lady, you're trying to prove everything to your mom and dad that you're being a good young lady, you're going to school, you're doing that, but they're not giving you the love that you need. So
Mhm.
therefore, it's easy for you when you get into high school to run to every boy here, there, and other because you're looking for the love from them that your mom and daddy should have been giving you. And then when you go through 2, 3, 4, 5 divorces, you got 6, 7, 8, 9 kids, and I'm not knocking anybody from that. I'm just saying it goes back to that area where you were neglected at and you're still trying to make up for it.
Right.
And that's not your area to make up for.
It's not.
Because if the first child didn't bring you enough love, what do you think the 7th, 8th, ninth with 7th, 8th,
Right.
ninth different man's going to do for you? You're repeating that same cycle over and over again, getting the same result. And we used to call that insanity.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was sitting up thinking, your question when you said, like, how do you get over it? Um, just speaking from experience, it is definitely a tough journey because as we were saying in a previous show, I know for me, I was asking questions like, why am I not good enough?
Mhm.
Why can't I be loved or receive the same love that my siblings receive?
Mhm.
Why do I have to be made out to be a liar when I didn't even do nothing?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Those are like some of the, and as you all are listening to tonight's show, and of course, it's not about throwing anybody under the bus or whatever the case may be. Many of us don't want to touch that. We keep it in a box.
Mhm.
But yet and still we wonder, why are we having all these different actions? Why are we in these different relationships? Why, not trying to know, not, why did I turn from being on this team to that team? Y'all catch it,
Mhm.
things like that. You struggle with that, but nobody wants to go and open Pandora's box because then that means I have to deal with the feelings and the emotion. And what it actually boiled down to, and I can't remember if Larisha said it on air or off air, but it's rejection
Mhm.
Mhm.
because it's like a mother duck and she just rejects that one little duckling, and so, or the ugly duckling, if you will, is a story we've read. So it's really hard, and you would have to get into those emotions. You have to be honest about how you feel, and things like that. And this is interesting that Kenya brought up what he brought up, because I know what I used to do is I was good in school with grades, oh, band, cheerleading, anything that I can do to ensure that my caregivers would be proud of me. Because if I do this, maybe they'll love me. If I do that, if I look like this, if I don't, I wasn't one to get in trouble. I just wanted to do all the right things for love.
Mhm.
And so it's a hard pill. We spoke about love bombing and looking at that from a relational piece. But when you don't receive the love
Mhm.
from your own caregiver,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that can be hard. And so if some of you all are in a relationship, like Kenya was saying, because I used to ask, like, why are you going so hard? Maybe you know that he would always, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What are you sorry for?
Right. Right.
Like, you are an amazing dad. You show up. Our kids cannot say out of their mouth that you were not there,
Mhm.
but it's the same sense, being married, being a wife. Let's talk about that. Childhood, you said, Larisha, starting childhood.
Yeah.
So here I am trying to do all the things to make my caregivers proud.
Mhm.
Now, this is the kicker.
Yeah.
Be prepared for this. When your caregivers will brag to everybody about you being their child
Mm.
because it benefits them,
Mm.
but they never tell you how proud of you they are.
Mm.
That's deep. And it,
Mhm.
it hurts. It's heavy. But as you were speaking about generational and changing the narrative, although we have 5 children, I have birthed our first 3 sons. Where it changed for me, because I was a tomboy, I wore the T-bars and TLC them to damn nothing on me. I was wearing the, suspenders, they baggy and all that and things like that. But it was when the doctor said, you are pregnant with a girl. And I was like, I prayed for her. But what? Wait a minute, hold on. Cause I need to be that mother, even though I was being it for my boys and our oldest daughter. But I'm talking about I birthed a daughter between us. So it's like, oh no, I can't allow all this. I don't want my daughter to feel like how, even though our sons don't feel like that. Trust me, we 10 toes down for all our children. But it was like, girl, you got to change.
Right.
Because our sons is going to look up to me, but they're going to look up to their dad because as they become husbands and fathers and all that. However, this little young lady is going to look up to mama. She's going to look up to daddy, but she going to get her blueprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
From mama.
Yeah.
So if you're a parent, what blueprint are you laying out? It does not have to be the same blueprint that you came from, but I will tell you this, it's going to require you to do some work.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to require you to get some counseling because that's what I did before becoming a counselor. I had to unpack all this.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to hush for a moment because I said this and I said, wow, when I look at every woman that I know that has or had mother-daughter woundings that have children, girl, is different. It's like polar opposite as far as how the relationship is. It's loving, it's caring, it's this, it's that, it's, oh, I love you. It's your kid getting into bed with you when they whole teenagers. And you like, can I just watch the movie in peace? Right, come on.
Okay.
And they crawling in the bed with
babies.
That's how you know I think you've started to change the blueprint. And I'm going to tell you one more thing. Those who remain to stay stuck and believe the fairy tales, let me say it like that, are going to always make you out to be the bad person, especially in your family, because you're changing the narrative. You're going against that dysfunctional DNA that is passed down from generation to generation. So just kind of be prepared for those things if you're listening to tonight's show and you're like, look, I have to change some things. And if your children are grown, heal and go back and apologize.
Yeah.
That right there will help heal generations.
Yes, it will.
Yep.
It
Absolutely.
definitely will.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that when Kenya, you were talking about the father son relational wounds, and you're speaking about the mother daughter relational wounds. And as my experience with it has been, I had a father daughter relational wound. And what I noticed is that when a father's absence is there, it creates a struggle with trust.
And
That was my
identity.
and identity. Yeah. And it falls under that, like that identity is like, who am I? Who am I? And I had to heal. I had to do my healing through that as well. But from a from mother wounds, mother's criticism, it shapes the self-worth. So like what you were saying, I have to become this woman. Like I really need to make sure that I am what she needs because you were going to shape her worth.
Right.
You were going to be able to tell her who she is as a woman.
Yes.
Her daddy wouldn't have been able to tell her that. That comes from you. And I think that's what a lot of parents tend to miss is that there are things you're not just the parent, you are shaping the identity of your children. You are the first people to tell them who they are and what they can be beyond what the world says. You are the most important piece here. But I want to shift it a little bit too, y'all, because I want to talk about, we hear about a lot of relational wounds with people talking about it and they're placing blame. There's blame, right?
Yes.
It's because of you that I am like this. I have trust issues because of you. Now, I could have granted went about blaming a father about my trust issues, which would have been warranted.
Right.
But what would it have given me to continue to blame him and fall on that? That blame hurt me more than it would him, because who knows if he cared? He probably didn't even care.
Right.
They go on with their life, but we walk around carrying this pain, this hurt, because we continuously blame someone because we want an apology or we want something from them. And I would challenge you to heal beyond healing so that you don't have to require,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not saying this right. Let me go back. I want you to understand that healing requires acknowledging your pain
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
without staying bound to the blame.
Right.
You can heal beyond it. Acknowledge it. Say what it is. It's okay to identify those things. That helps you to build or to grow into the person that you want to be. But understanding the wound is the first step of it. We've been talking about we talked about wounds before, but this relational wound, you have to understand what that is. How did your mother or father wound you? What is it that you feel like you didn't receive that you needed to receive from them? Identify that.
Right.
And then there's so many other steps in there, but I feel like reparenting is part of the next step. You have to be able to give yourself what it is that you feel like they didn't give you. But let me pause real quick, because in order for us to identify the wound, we first got to identify who we are. What's going on with us. That identity starts with you. And if you don't take time to sit with yourself and understand what you are feeling, you ain't gonna be able to attach nothing to nobody.
Yes.
Because you won't even know what it is. You won't have language for it. Take some time and sit with yourself. Get quiet with yourself. Get quiet with God. Ask questions about you.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that people struggle with, is being silent. We need noise. It's too much noise. Cut all the distractions. Get
Right.
with yourself. Find out who you are, who you want to be. That way you understand what's hurting you.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel, because if I am putting everything on me or distracting myself, I don't even know what's hurting me. I know I'm hurt, but I don't know what it is. Figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Start to heal you, understand you, so that you can heal the pain.
Mm.
You can't tell the doctors, if you go to the doctor, what's hurting on you if you ain't never sat with yourself to identify what's in pain.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah.
There's another one, and I saw this on Facebook a couple of years ago, and it's something that really sticks with me. And it said, "Stop expecting an apology that you're never going to get."
Absolutely.
And the reason why I say that is, we're talking about relational wounds, relational trauma, things of that nature, and we're going with mothers and fathers now. But there are other individuals that are adults. It was people in the church. It was people in school. It may have been people in other activities that you were involved in that hurt you somehow, that scarred you. And once again, that I think the bigger picture of that is those are people that were supposed to be in a position of trust. They broke that trust. And so now it's like you're scarred and you want something from that person to say you're basically asking for that person's permission to go forth and heal. You don't need that person's permission to heal. Because if they wouldn't have did what they may have did in the first place to scar you, you wouldn't have to worry about healing.
But doesn't that still go back to the foundation, though?
Absolutely, it does.
Because if
Absolutely.
if I had the people foundationally in place to help me understand what that means, I wouldn't have the relational wounds to even carry over
Precisely.
into
So
this new relationship.
So the thing that I get with that, because we see this a lot, Coach did something to me as a young man, okay? I go and tell my mom and dad, "Oh, Coach would never do that." So you did the right thing. They don't believe it. That was a person of trust. They've hurt you now. So now you're carrying two things. I can't trust the coach and I can't trust my parents. So as you are going forward, you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do to deal with that? Because I have all these feelings. I was hurt. I have this scar in my life that I can't get past. And guess what? As you still go along as a child, you're trying to figure all that out with relationships and things of that nature. But it all goes back to this because somebody that was supposed to do something didn't do something. But you're still wanting that forgiveness. But what you have to say is that I'm probably not going to get that. So you have to do what you have to do to move forward. Joseph in the Bible, he had a coat. It was a favorite coat. Brothers didn't like that. We go put you in a pit. Oh, we go sell you somewhere. They thought it was over and done with at that point. Joseph still had to go through a whole bunch of other stuff, but he was the very one that came back to save his family. So they never apologized. Quit looking for the apology. Look for the healing.
Yeah.
And the other part, and I want to bring this up just really quickly. Yes, we're talking about childhood things, but from a relational standpoint, there are a lot of husbands and wives, individuals in boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, and they are hurt relationally as well. Maybe from something that didn't even occur in childhood, but during the course of that relationship, which means that you have to heal from that part of that relationship before you move forward in that relationship or even in another relationship. And Shannon and I, we had this discussion a lot of different times. My ex-wife did certain things to me. And truth be told, a lot of it spilled over in the relationship. But then we had to have this conversation one day, and I told her, you know, what my ex-wife did was wrong. You're absolutely right. I can't hold you accountable for that. But if there's something you did, you have to be accountable for your actions.
Right.
So a lot of times when it comes to relationships with husbands and wives, there's relational wounds there, and we can't heal because we keep wanting that person to apologize, and you're probably never going to get it from them either. So the best thing for you to do is you acknowledge it, because your truth is your truth. You move forward and get the help that you need, and you still have to go back and forgive that individual because they may not necessarily be aware of what they may or may not be doing.
Okay, I'm hearing you. I hear you, especially with the part of the relational wounding, and while you're in a relationship that may or may not be attached to childhood. But my brain just keeps going back to foundational, because how would I know if this wound that has just been created in this relationship, why would it be a wound if I've never experienced it before? Like, how do I know that this is the way that and I know I'm not saying this right, but I know what I'm thinking, because I feel like it's still that underlying, like what you were taught. We talked about the generational things, right? So there's being passed on this template. So how I deal with emotional wounding is what I'm carrying into my relationships. And so, like when you were saying with you and Shan, and how your ex-wife did things that Shan was kind of getting the brunt end of, right?
Right.
But you said, okay, now you have to take responsibility for the things that you did.
Right.
But what are you truly basing that on? Is it because of what your experience was as a child, not having that connection with his father, that makes you see this as a hurtful thing to you?
No, that for me was solely was the ex-wife.
Right.
So I'll try to do this as easy as I can. Do you know what it's like to get bit by a snake?
No.
And you will never know until it happens. So my mom, well, not mom, let's say a mother and father's relationship could be very good. The child sees all that. They don't have any issues relationship-wise until they get into a relationship with somebody that cheats on them. So it doesn't go back to the childhood at that point. It goes back to that one specific incident. And now that child says, well, my mom and dad's relationship was like this. That's what I thought it was supposed to be. I trusted you. You did that. That's where the hurt begins right there. That's where they have to start healing that, is because maybe they put too much trust in that relationship.
Okay, so I guess I was looking at it from a perspective of someone who's carrying hurt up through.
Yes, and some of it can be, and some of it can start from a specific point.
Yeah.
In the military, they used to say that, and basically we all do this. They say soldiers only learn 2 ways. And it's by repetition and specific events. You're doing something over and over again, you eventually get it, or something so drastic happens that it sticks forever here and you learn from that event. And for a lot of people, they carry relational wounds, not necessarily because something happened in childhood, but that specific event happened whenever it did, and it started right there, but they have to go back to the starting point.
Yeah. But wounds can happen.
Go ahead.
I don't
Ooh, I
even
feel
know
you.
how. I don't even know how I'm going to explain it.
Just try.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bring it to the table.
So I think you started with the example of the kid seeing mom and dad in a good relationship. So the kid sees mom and dad in a good relationship. Don't see conflict. Don't see how to communicate. You know what I'm saying? Through conflict. So what happens is, because they didn't see it,
They don't
They
know how
don't know
to
how to
do it.
experience
they
it.
don't know how to,
Yeah.
Right.
And so
So-
that
The snake bite issue.
So that's
Yeah.
where I
That's where
was.
you was going.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I was going
Yeah.
because I'm like, there's still, even though it didn't happen
Yeah.
per se in childhood, it happened
Yeah.
in childhood.
Something
It's
happened.
something happened or didn't happen
Mhm.
that they should have seen that would have given the blueprint, the template, if you will, on how to handle situations like this or what this situation could mean and how you address it, type of
Yeah.
thing.
And I think because we are human beings,
Yeah.
we have a blueprint for ourselves, and that blueprint changes all the time based off situation and circumstances.
Absolutely.
I don't know if every parent sits down and talk with their child and say, "This is what a relationship is supposed to look like."
Absolutely
You know,
not.
yeah. And so it's
No.
different things are going to happen to formulate who you are. But once again, it's like you said, if you don't get somewhere and sit down
Yeah.
and get to know who you are,
Yeah.
you will continue to be in that cycle of having relational wounds. Because if I'm in a relationship with cup A, they hurt me. Now I'm going to jump to cup B. Now they hurt me. Now to cup C. I never really handle what was here. I don't think I keep doing this piling on scar tissue. That's why they used to say a long time ago, they used to say the best way to get over another relationship is get under somebody. No, it ain't. The
Yeah.
best way to get over that relationship is to deal with
the
that
first one.
before
Yeah.
you even get into another one.
And
Yeah.
see, that's the thing that I wanted to share, like even in the example that he said. So as the dynamic is going from childhood,
Mm-hmm.
so whether it is that the parent did teach or didn't teach, something started in childhood. I agree with that. But then when it bleeds over into the marriage. So let's say that everything was perfect. You grew up with the Huxtables as your parents. You know what I'm saying? And they barely even, you know what I'm saying? They had no issues. And it did start in a prior relationship. So when it transfers or goes to the next relationship, healing still needs to take place.
Yes,
Or otherwise
absolutely.
transference will happen. So how would, let's say, how would an individual know that this right here is a problem or a trigger for you if it's never been communicated? So accountability can't happen if they never knew that that was a wound,
That was
as we're talking about, for you. So that's how sometimes it can bleed over. And then this is something else we've seen in the counseling room too. When it goes from relational, from childhood wounds into the marriage, or let's just say the marriage, because we usually be seeing couples, or whatnot, it's easier for me to blame you than to go back and blame my mom, because we ain't blaming mama because we grew up black and we don't talk about our mamas. And anybody talk about our mama, we gonna fight them. Come on now, let's just be honest. Them is fighting words. But so what you're doing is you're not healing, you're projecting. And it started with your mama. I just had this conversation with one of our military people, and this is what I just said. Now, I ain't gonna tell y'all verbatim, but with one of our military brothers, this is what I just said. I said, it's often hard to blame, I ain't gonna say blame, but to point the finger at your mom, especially in the Black culture, because we don't do that. We barely had a voice. We just learning our voice now in our 40s. so I'm just saying, we just learning our voice in our 40s, okay? Because, we would have got our taste buds slapped out our mouth back in the day. So how do we even fathom to say, and I'm bringing this up because this may be a struggle that someone has. Come on, counselors, how do I fathom to say that it was my mama? And I'm going to be honest with y'all, as a mother of 5, I've said this, but I've had to admit it. Sometimes, no knock to the mamas, because the daddies, we ain't letting y'all off the hook either. But being a mother who carries a child, and y'all say a lot of things can get transferred through the womb, okay, you carrying your child. It is hard to say out of your mouth, my mama is manipulative. My mama is divisive. Don't nobody want to say that. But in order to heal,
It ain't never been.
Listen.
I had problems at 13, 14. Shut up.
She said, shut up, Marisha. But for most, it's a struggle because you're programmed that no matter what your parents do, you do not speak against them. And we ain't even going to talk about the word. We ain't even going to what is honor thy mother and father? But the word of God also says,
do not
provoke.
Good
Come on,
child.
sis.
Yeah.
So we forgot that part, but we focusing on this part. So in order for the narrative to change in the relational wounds, you do have to be real.
Yes, you do.
That is the hard. Do you know how hard that was for me
Yeah.
Oh,
to identify some things in my own bloodline?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yo, like we don't do this, but that's why we ain't healing
Mm-hmm. That's
either.
it.
So anyway, y'all pray for me.
Y'all, so my brain, y'all know I'll be over here thinking, my brain be calculating and counting and doing all of the things. And we talking about relational wounds, right? Parent-child wounds. I was reading in Genesis when Abraham had to take his son Isaac up the mountain, and Isaac said, Daddy, where's the sacrifice? And he said, and the Lord will provide. Now, the Lord provided, but I'm just wondering what type of relational wound that created for Isaac to know that he was laid on the wood about to be sacrificed before the Lord spoke up.
Yeah.
Kind of, that just came to my mind, like, would that create a relational wound?
Yeah.
Like no other. You are about to sacrifice me, Daddy. Like, I know what this means to be laid on this wood because we do this all the time with the animals we about to sacrifice. And you just laid me up here, so that means you was about to kill me.
Yeah.
We don't know that. We don't know that story.
They didn't look.
I mean, we don't know,
right.
like,
They didn't teach us that Bible
like,
study.
Yeah.
What's the detail?
Yeah.
I know, I would
know what I
love
mean?
to know that, but I'm just
I could come up with my own account. I bet he was sleeping like this.
Like, I don't trust you, Joker.
Yeah,
I don't think he went to sleep.
probably not. He probably moved. That would have been one of the moments you move out the parents' house.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gone.
Hey.
Deuces,
Because if you do it once, you might do it again. I don't
That's all
trust
I'm
We got at the homeless shelter.
Well, no, but think about that on how we find that parents will sacrifice their kids, not in a sense of putting you on the wood, getting ready to slay you, but they will slay their kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think another way when we go back to the children as well with emotional or with relational wounds, sometimes we do things that bring those wounds on inadvertently. We don't understand it. You know, yeah, oh, I see you out there in the tree. Go ahead and jump. And then you move. Trust issues, insecurities. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna come back and I promise you I'm gonna be there at 10 o'clock. And then 10 o'clock, some 10:30, 10:45, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Oh, now I can't trust you because you're a liar. It's little things that add up in the bigger things. And if they're not explained, if we don't get that help that we need, we carry them for a lifetime throughout our lifespan until we do get the help that we need.
Right.
So I'm going to throw this out there. This may be an advertisement, but it's just the way it comes out. Communicating. Talk. Everybody's not able to handle specific situations. Get you a therapist. Therapy. Get on that road to being a better you. Heal. Talk, therapy, heal.
Oh,
You better
promote
Where
us.
did it say? Come on.
Yes, y'all heard it. Talk, therapy, heal.
Oh my God.
You have to, though.
Yeah.
You have to,
definitely.
because if you don't do one, you can't have one without the other.
Right.
And I think we've all seen cases probably where you've seen someone that maybe you grew up with, they may have been a little younger, older than you. You saw there was some issues going on within the family. Everything was neglected. Nobody did anything to help. That person is now 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, still doing the exact same thing, still dealing with the exact same struggle.
Yeah.
And when they end up leaving this earth, somebody says, oh, that person should have got some help a long time ago. Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Why we ain't saying nothing?
Precisely.
Right.
Why we ain't saying nothing?
Wow.
I mean, but think about how the emotional or the relational wounds, though, how they are manifesting. We've been talking a lot about the trust, right? But then there's fear of intimacy.
Right.
There are so many people who are afraid to connect with another person.
Right.
It's scary. They want it,
Right.
but they don't know how to have it because that foundational thing didn't teach them how to have that. So they avoid, avoid close connections because they don't want to be hurt. They're foundational, people hurt them,
Yeah.
and now they think you're going to hurt them.
Yeah.
They have problems with boundaries. Oh my God, if this is not the one thing that I'm like, so what boundaries you got in place? Some of my clients look at me like,
They
what's the-
say, I've heard
what's-
them say, I don't need boundaries.
What?
Oh.
Everybody need boundaries.
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody
Every
Mhm.
relationship
needs
Yeah.
boundaries.
needs boundaries.
Then you got emotional dysregulation. We struggle.
Mhm.
The amount of people who struggle with
Yeah.
it expressing what they're feeling,
Right.
what's going on in their emotions, or even managing them.
Right. That's right.
Anger, the big one.
Mhm.
Like we explosive. You're explosive in relationships. You got mood swings, you withdrawing, all of the things. We have unhealthy patterns. I feel like we've been talking about that. Low self-esteem,
Yeah.
y'all. You got all these negative self-beliefs, these things that diminish your self-worth. You don't see yourself as being lovable or being able to love. You see yourself as nothing. All of this because of an emotion or relational wound. Go back to the foundation.
Yes,
Right.
Go
absolutely.
back to the foundation. We've been talking about healing. So you have to, like you said, talk. You got to have talk therapy. You need that emotional or that support. Find somebody to support you. And y'all hear each and every last one of us, when we say get help, we did not say go seek your friend. Not one
Yep.
time did we say go seek your friend.
Not
Unless your
Chat
friend.
GPT either.
Yeah, because that's a thing now.
That's a
AI
Everybody
can't
wanna
really
ChatGPT.
help you. He can't.
It's
I
not a
don't care
physical
what you
connection.
name him. You can name him your best friend. He can't help.
I got a program.
Nope. Just
No.
go ahead and
Go-
do what to do.
Yeah, go talk to somebody. Talk to a real person.
Yeah.
Someone who can connect with you. Someone who understands where you are and where you're trying to get to. But you gotta be willing. You gotta get to that place. You have to get to that place. So go and talk, emotionally process with somebody who can truly, truly help you.
Right.
I want to throw a question out there for y'all. Relational wounds. Can y'all talk to the parents out there who have emotionally wounded their children by inviting them in or having conversations with them that's not meant for a child?
Don't do it. I'm sorry. I'm laughing, but I'm
You're
so
right.
serious.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm so serious. Don't do it. They are not. What's the word I want to?
Your best
Emotional.
friend.
They're not, and they're not emotionally mature enough to handle those types of conversations or that type of dialogue. Your child, your 16, 17, 18-year-old child, 14,
8,
12,
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna say all the
Yeah.
numbers.
Talking to the baby in the crib.
Yes. They carry that.
Yeah.
They carry that. They might not be able to say nothing back to you verbatim about what you said, but they carry that. Pay attention to how your kids stick up under you and always want to make sure you okay. They want to make sure they always checking in with you. If they leave, if they at school, if they with their friends, they call and
How
checking
you
in
doing?
on you. Something is wrong with that.
Right.
Check yourself.
Right.
Check yourself.
And the reason why I say that is because I believe you have a generation of males and females that were privy to conversations that should not have been had with them. Well, you know what, Johnny, you see what your daddy is like. He out there sleeping with everybody, this, that, and the other. And so now that person is carrying that with them, like, well, what am I supposed to do about this?
Right.
And then when they go into another relationship, that they're all hyper vigilant about somebody's, and it just goes on and on and on.
And it's this little
That's one big
cliche. We really have to be mindful of our words. Now, this is me. Never, ever will I, Chantrell King, refer to my kids as my best friend.
Right.
They're not.
Never.
They not my best friend. They not my little broke best friend.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yes.
No. Because number
Yeah.
one, I'm not even speaking broke over them.
Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
somebody.
Okay.
Because our children will not be broke.
Okay.
And I'm speaking that into existence.
Amen.
But it gets me because I have seen, especially, it start off in relational wounds, like we said, from childhood. And I've seen just people that I know, females that I know, males that I know, more so females, let's just be honest, to where they will talk so harshly to their children about their spouse.
Right.
So now when the child has become of age, like you say, I'm cleaning on the mom, I'm cleaning on the daddy. How you doing? How you doing? When it should be the other way around. We should be checking on our children anyway. And what ends up happening is when those young ladies or them young men grow up, then they already got trust issues because the intimate details, instead of you speaking to your husband or your wife about it, you're using your child as your therapist.
Yeah.
And you think that's cute, and it's not. It's damaging them. And to me, that kind of falls to manipulation because then when the sons or the daughters get into relationships, now they feel like they got to come and bring that person to you for a stamp of approval. Or now I ain't talking about out of respect, that's a whole nother different. But every play by play that they do with their spouse, their boyfriend, their girlfriend, they gotta run it past you. Because you was hurt, because you couldn't even speak to your husband or your wife or go get counseling and help and all that. You made the decision to stay in it. But you bad mouthing to the children, which is inadvertently turning the children against that parent. And it shouldn't be like that. So now you creating relational wounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why I always got to be the bad one on the show?
You're not the bad one.
I just be like, eh.
Yeah, you're definitely not the bad one. I want to reiterate too, because I know you said don't make your children your best friends. And I want to reiterate the best friend thing, because I do feel like you can become friends
And have a
with your
You
children.
can have healthy
You can have a
communication.
healthy dialogue to where your children are no longer not. I'm not gonna say no longer needed to be parented, but they don't need the heavy hand parenting. You can have that relationship to where you're guiding.
Mentor.
You're guiding them so you can be on a friendlier term.
Yeah.
But having boundaries in place. But I agree. Having
Having girl, and they
your
cussing
best
at you, and
Yeah.
girl, wait a minute, who is you? I'm your mama.
what we doing?
Because usually there's a level of respect.
Simmer down.
Yeah,
That part.
Simmer
So, babe,
down.
y'all both out here. Shut up, Shan.
Yeah.
That's not right for this show. Lady of Marriage Mornings with the Queen. But yeah, that's a good clarification because you do go from parenting to that guidance, providing that guidance, that, mentorship.
Relationship changes.
Yes, because you want them to be able to come to you and ask questions. But I'm talking about these people I be seeing, I'm like, y'all wearing Daisy Dukes together, y'all clubbing together, y'all going who, what, huh? No, me and mine ain't gonna be doing that.
We will never twerk.
That's
together,
girl.
baby.
See, I was trying not to, but you know where I was.
But
That
that's
part.
what we doing.
Y'all
That's what
both
we
just twerking for social media. What the? Okay, anyway.
have. Bring it back.
Bring it back around.
Let's fake attention.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Ain't no telling where to come to this table.
No, but you know what? To kind of piggyback off that, it's just a further show of that trauma or relational wounds. Because why do you have to act like that with your
kid?
Because
you didn't get something
right
from your parent. You wasn't heard. You wasn't understood. You wasn't seen. You feel invisible.
Yeah.
You're gonna be seen.
Now you will be seen. Yep.
All right.
Y'all be bringing it. I ain't gonna. But y'all
This
is
is
doing
good.
it.
Y'all sure do. Y'all sure do. So do we feel like we brought what needed to be brought to the table for the people? We've given them the understanding of what relational wounds mean, what it looks like, how to combat them, strategies, and what changes to make, suggestions and things like that. Is there anything else we feel like we need the people to know about relational wounds before we close it out? One of the things that you said earlier, Larisha, you said something in the beginning of what's the end of it. Do we feel like we've brought what's the end?
Well, the end is healing, right? The end is taking steps towards healing. And I think we probably said it 2, 3 times tonight,
Mhm.
is you gotta really sit down and look at, um, the wound that you might be carrying. Wait a minute, am I reacting and responding, you know what I mean, in a certain situation? Am I triggered because of a situation that looks like rejection or a situation that looks like abandonment or a situation that looks like somebody's not showing up, you know what I mean, for me? Am I responding and reacting, you know what I mean, to that situation in that way? But you got to, in order to get to the end, you got to acknowledge that pain.
Mhm.
You
Mm.
gotta acknowledge that pain, and I think, Nikki, you said that, Sharon, you said that,
Yeah.
Kenyon, you said that. Acknowledge that pain and understand that, yeah, it's pain, you know what I mean, but you gotta feel it,
Mhm.
right? You gotta deal with it, you gotta process it, because if you don't, it keeps you stuck. It keeps you
Mhm.
stuck in that same cycle.
Absolutely.
But the end of it is healing.
Yeah.
You can be healed from wounds that transpired in your childhood.
Mhm.
But it takes putting in the work,
You have
Yeah.
to do it.
in order to do
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. I want to leave the people with what I said earlier today about what's unhealed in one generation becoming the template for the next,
Mhm.
and helping you to understand that in order to stop that generational template, that generational cycle, start therapy, journal, and do your inner child work.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna say this real quick. Everybody goes through different things in life. Don't point the finger, pinpoint the wound.
Mhm.
Mm. Yeah, and I think for me, like we were saying, get to the point and please have that desire and passion to heal. Know that it's not going to be easy. You're going to have those emotions. Go through those a range of emotions, feel those range of emotions. It's going to drop off a lot of heavy weight that you've been carrying that you didn't even recognize.
Mhm.
But the reward and the healing on the other side, it's amazing.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amen.
Mhm.
We want to thank you all so much for joining us here tonight at Talk Therapy Heal. We know that this could have been possibly a heavy topic
Mm.
for you all. It was heavy in the room, it was heavy at the table. But we thank you all for listening throughout and staying to the end. We hope that something that was said here on tonight penetrates your mind to help you to want to change in some way that makes you better. And so we want you, if you're watching us on YouTube, to not forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
Yes.
And then if you're listening to us on any podcast, don't forget to share. We love you all here at Talk Therapy Heal, and thank you again for joining us. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.